All right, Tom, let me know when to kick it off here. Real excited
Yeah, let's
tonight.
rock and roll. Let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about something that's, pretty important, I think, to everybody involved in consulting and everybody involved in selling the services we have. And actually, Tom, you kind of inspired this. I thought I'd go over this because last week you'd asked me about how to open and some of the important things about opening with people and how to get leads and maybe how to handle leads. And I wanted to put together something where we talk about business models, business types, and how these industries, these businesses that we see around us function. And that's exactly what I've done here. So the topics that we're going to be covering, we're going to talk about some business types, some models of business. I'm going to go over three sort of typical scenarios you're going to encounter all the time. And we're going to talk about research, and then we're going to talk about, final thoughts and questions. So without further ado, let's talk about some of the business differences and why they matter. It's really crucial to realize what we're involved in. We're involved in something where we're all, students of our craft. We get better as we go, right? We're doing sales every single day. We're going out there, we're consulting, we're talking with people. It's very important to have all of the basic foundations of your pyramid of knowledge in your head assembled correctly. You have to understand when people are told, when you go into marketing to a business, you go into pitch to them. If you understand that businesses, who their customers are, if you understand how they sell, that model of business, if you understand how they function overall, all the big, broad truisms are understood by you. You're not going to go in there with a lot of butterflies in your stomach. You're not going to go in there nervous. It's going to inform you, and you're going to be forewarned. Knowledge is power. Forewarned is forearmed. I put it right here for a reason, because it absolutely is the truth. We deal with many different types of customers. We deal with many different industries. And as we do, we bump into these differences. So let's talk about the first major difference. And before I even begin, I'm going to say that there's major overlap. All right. A lot of the things I'm talking about here are kind of like they're fuzzy terms used by marketers and business people a lot in fuzzy ways. People will say, my business is B2B, but they also sell B2C. Some businesses will sell B2G, but they're mainly B2C, or they're mainly B2B. There's a lot of mixing and matching going on here, but there's three sort of main sales sort of models, or client models, customer models, whatever term you want to use for businesses. Business to business, businesses that sell primarily to other businesses. Businesses like office equipment and many manufacturers, industrial equipment suppliers, all kinds of financial services businesses do this. They sell pretty much exclusively to other businesses. Then you have business to consumer or business to customer, however you want to phrase that. These are businesses that target end customers, right? They're targeting actual consumers who are buying their products. Then you have B2G, right? Government contracts. Many times this is a business model. It does exist. There are businesses out there that sell only to the government, but most businesses that are selling to the government are also selling to customers and other businesses as well. But it's important that you understand these models, because when you hear of a business and oh, that business is 90% B2B, then we know that business is functioning in a different way than a consumer-oriented business is. This can inform us in many, many ways how we proceed in marketing and sales with that company, right? So it's very important that you understand these models, and why they matter is different models speak to different needs of business, right? Someone that's selling B2B is not going to care necessarily. They're not going to have as much of a retail focus or a retail marketing focus, right? Because they're working on things from a perspective of getting other businesses information and marketing to them in a more straight line manner, right? Because I can't call people on the do not call list, but I can call businesses and market that way. So it's still a viable model for them to do telemarketing. Business it is. People who are trying to market to consumers, not so much. That's one little fact that when I know that in the back of my head and I know the model of a business, well, now I know what's going to matter to them and what's not going to matter to them. This is all about informing myself and giving yourself all the power you can beforehand. It's predictive of the service applications. It's predictive of not only what you're going to sell, but to a degree, how you're going to sell it, right? How you're going to apply it, rather. So if you go into a business and you know that their main thing is their retail sales, well, you know that e-commerce may matter a lot to them. They may want to sell online. If another business is not retail, they're dealing, on contracts only, and they're not selling anything on their site. They're just looking to get leads. That's a different kind of a website right there, completely. So when you know that, that's a major pillar of knowledge that you now know, something important. It's predictive of the receptiveness to marketing, right? Again, like B2G, business to government, they're not interested in like SEO, for example, perhaps as much, because their main venue to clients may be through an RFP process. They're dealing with requests for proposals from different agencies they're working through. You don't know how they're making their sales is the main point. Sales models dramatically affect your comprehension of the business that you're looking at. When you understand them, when you understand how a business functions, how it lands its clients and processes them, it's very important because it speaks to your comprehension, and it's absolutely essential in consulting. So the next thing I'm going to move on to is I'm going to talk about business types. So we talked a little bit really about sales models, but that's kind of a mushy term. I'll get into that in a minute. Let's talk about business types. And I put up here on the left, I wrote how they sell, and on the right, what they are, because, and these are just three sort of basic, and you can believe me, there's an entire school of almost philosophical level business writers and academic people who will go into this topic and say, no, there's 500 types of business and there's 1,000 ways they sell. You can go crazy with it. The broad strokes, though, are right here on your screen. Retail sales, right? Customers are coming into that location of the business. They're wanting to buy. There's no real sales going on there, right? It requires no consultation to sell. The product is just bought by a consumer and they go home and use it without any, instruction or application by a professional. Restaurants, automotive repair, toy stores, ice cream shops, hotels, motels, most businesses, right, that you deal with that are consumer focused, right? They're all retail. And you have professional services. Right. And the difference there, of course, is that consulting is required. You're in a professional services business. You're selling something professional to somebody, something that needs to be delicately applied to their unique situation. It's not something you pull off a shelf and just purchase. When we talk about those businesses, home repair, lawyers, doctors, dentists, engineers, scientists, chemists, you name it, right? Tons and tons and tons of professional services where there is no retail product, so to speak, because it has to either be, installed, or it's a service that needs to be performed, or it's a legal document needs to be prepared. It's something needs to be created in order for it to, for a transaction to take place. Then you have franchises and distributorships, right? And when you talk about them, they're on as common, of course, franchises, of course, big companies are everywhere. McDonald's is all over the place, Burger King, big franchises. But most of the time, when you're talking about smaller franchises, a lot of the time you're talking about like distributorships, smaller distributorships, where you'll have, for example, a regional beer maker, for example, that might make beer and sell it in 5 states. They may not sell it all retail. Their product is sold retail, but it's sold retail through all their resellers, all their distributors. So their distributors are their sales. When they make a sale, it's that they landed a new distributor, and the new distributors start selling their product and ordering from them, right? Or landing new accounts to supply different vendors. That's a different situation than a professional services situation, is different than retail sales. These are dramatically big. This is a very blunt way of looking at this. You can get into some very arcane types of business out there, like there's everything from patent trolls that live off of lawsuits to businesses that are, one-man bands that do all kinds of stuff. But broadly speaking, 99% of businesses fall into one of these 3 categories in terms of how they sell and what they are. The what they are is, of course, endless. But very important that you keep this in the back of your head and you understand this, because why does this matter? Well, business types matter because they have absolutely and concrete different needs. Right. So understanding who they're selling to, right, we understand that on the one hand. On the other hand, we understand, what is this business, right? How does this business sell? What are they, right? What do they do? Okay, it's a restaurant that sells, retail. Right? It's retailing in its restaurant location, but they may also have a catering business that sells B2B because they cater to say the local firehouse and 3 other places, and they might sell B2G because they sell the government as well. So everything is gray here. There's a lot of gray areas, but it's important to understand, because when you go into the sales arena, and this almost doesn't matter. Truly, it actually doesn't matter if we're talking about website sales or SEO, or whatever you're selling to a business. Understanding how they function is essential. So understanding the business types the different needs they have, the different perspectives that they have, because they can be wildly different. For example, at any given time, one or more industries, not talking the whole economy, but one or more industries are always in depression, right? Are always doing badly, right? I wouldn't like to be in, like let's say it's the year 2005. I wouldn't have liked to have been in, blockbuster video that year, right? That sector didn't do too good. The rise of YouTube and Netflix. There's many industries like that. Understanding how things are going broadly around you, being aware, understanding the perspectives of those businesses upon the market, upon their needs, upon their competitors, very important. It really forearms you to be able to go in there and really kick some butt when you're doing sales, because you come in like a professional. You know what's going on. Models can be predictive of all sorts of stuff, right? You understand that it's a business located in this area, located here, doing this in this way, with this as a customer. You know enough to have a full conversation with that business owner where you can ask insightful questions and you can come up with creative solutions, which is really what this is ultimately all about. It's instructive how to handle them. It's just an extremely informative thing when you understand how the business works. And something I want to say here, even though we're midway through this, and I will talk about research, understand what I'm talking about, big picture here to you guys. This is all stuff you can go and research. This is all stuff you can hop on Google. You can do some research. You can look into it. You can self-educate, because that's when you really, truly learn things. I'm very much an autodidactic person. I read constantly. I think it's essential to be a self-educated individual. And I think when you look at this industry and look at what's going on now, the services we apply are becoming more and more and more glove fitting to the businesses, right? 20 plus years ago, even 10 plus years ago, most websites were fairly generic. 20 years ago, most of them were generic. They're very generic. They couldn't do a whole lot. Now they can do 50 times the things, and soon it's going to be 100 times that. So we're headed in a direction where the job is getting more consultative. And as it does, this is going to matter more and more. Let me see here. Now, the point here also is to not have to ask questions if you do your homework, right? If you understand these businesses, even in the crudest sense, it's going to be a great, great advantage to you. Imagine yourself, you run, all of you, right? You're all running your consultancies, and somebody comes in to sell you office furniture, let's say, or sell you, not even say office furniture, they come in to sell you whatever. When they come in to sell you, if they understand your industry, your business, and who you are, and they can see that that they understand you. If you understand that, you're going to be much more receptive. So are businesses in general, which is the broad point here. Now, there's some key questions that you should obtain answers to. That doesn't mean ask; it means obtain. Right? What's the business's industry? If you have a prospect, and I came up to you and I asked you, "Hey, what's their industry? What sales model do they have? How do they sell? Who are their customers, and what kind of customers are they? And what did they do?" If I go into this, if I asked you these basic questions, absolutely all of you, before you do a demo, should be able to answer that with your eyes closed on the worst day of your life, right? This is bedrock stuff. You got to know this stuff. When you understand this stuff, though, life becomes vastly, vastly easier for you in the business that we're all in. Now I'm going to change gears here, because I went over these types of businesses and sales models a little bit. Now I want to talk about some scenarios. And these are scenarios, and the reason that these two things apply to one another is I want you to keep in mind and think about and keep it in the front of your head, the things I just talked about, right? The business types, the models, and let's think of the scenarios, because these are sort of like the layers of complexity that we deal with in the consulting side of this whole industry. Now, there's three major scenarios here: obsolete sites, organic change, and new websites, right? Meaning these are the three most common things that you run into when you go and you start selling the services we sell. Then I'm using websites sort of as the bedrock anchor service, because it is the anchor service to the internet. Duh. Now, obsolete sites: old, ugly, poor loading, error-ridden, antiquated. But you know that already, right? You guys understand that. Does your customer understand that? The scenario you run into a lot of the times is you understand this stuff. The prospect doesn't, so you have to show them. But when you show them, they understand. They have to upgrade. So I'm talking about the big reason why somebody has to upgrade. The big reason here, you have obsolescence as a big reason. The next one, this is the more intelligent reason, or the most intelligent reason for most people, or second most intelligent, is organic change. And these are people, businesses that understand that they need to upgrade their website. They might want something new. They might be saying to themselves they need to keep up with the times. There's other tech reasons why they need to upgrade. It could be competitor jealousy. Even the owner of the business says, hey, I don't want someone else having a better site than me. I want to do better than that, keep up with the Joneses. Also, rebranding. Rebranding is a reason why, sorry about that. Rebranding is a reason why many businesses get new websites as well. They want to change. They want to do an upgrade to their brand, their facelift online. Now, the last reason here, the last scenario I'm going to go through here is that, new websites. Why does somebody want a new website? Because they're entrepreneurial. They want to get this new site upline. They need to have it. They know they understand that they have, customers that are going to be using it. They may need to do e-commerce. They may need to do a lot of things. They have a laundry list of needs when you're talking about a new site. But when we layer this stuff on top of each other, if we understand, if you said to me, Jake, I got a customer, it's a lawyer, and he just was barred, and he's opening his law practice in Atlanta, Georgia, and he needs a new website. If you told me that, I understand already his business model. I understand, what he needs in a site. As a consultant, I know what I could give this guy or gal, whoever. I know what I need to sell to them immediately, right? I know it immediately. And I know their perspective upon it too, because they have to connect to clients online. They're going to be SEO. They're going to be talking SEO like crazy. That's a professional services business. That's somebody that, is promoting themselves online and is going to it's going to be pretty easy to convey the importance of this to them. Alternately, let's say that it was a situation where we have an obsolete website and we have a manufacturer, and the manufacturer doesn't really care because they sell everything through a distribution network. And when I talk to them, I can see that they have money and that there's a potential here, right? They're not unqualified to buy, right? They have the money. But when I'm talking to them, I'm getting the perspective that, I'm learning that, well, they don't really care because they don't sell anything through the internet. They don't really care to even put their information out there. They're a manufacturer. The clients they have come to them and want them to make stuff for them, for example. You have a lot of different perspectives when you combine these different attributes together, is my point. The industry combining with the situation of the website or their internet situation, period, is going to inform you about what you can expect going in there. And thanks to the internet, thanks to what we have with Google and everything, we don't have to assume too much. We can go out there and just do our homework. We can go and just research this company, compare it to its competitors, look at what's going on, and educate ourselves about this. You may have another situation, right? Organic change. You have a client, let's say it's a restaurant. They've upgraded their site, 5 times since 1995, let's say 5 times in 25 years, something like that, every 5 years or so. They upgrade, and they're looking for their 6th upgrade or 5th upgrade, whatever. And they're doing it for organic change because a competitor just came into town and that competitor is beating them, in terms of their customers, let's say, or something like that. Or maybe they're not being beaten. They just want to keep up. That informs me in a different way, right, of how I'm going to pitch them, what we're going to go for with them. Now, the way that it informs you, a lot of that is just common sense. A lot of it is not. I don't have a specific game plan to relay to you of how to deal with that specific person I just came up with off the top of my head. My point to you is that when you're informed and you have all the information at your disposal, when you understand, when you've done your homework and you understand what a business is, how it functions, the industry it's in, the business model, these kind of basic pieces of information really are all you need to be able to sell somebody, right? As a consultant, if you can talk good, you can go in there and, speak with them, and you can learn everything you need to learn from just having a simple conversation. There's so many benefits of knowing the scenario that it's incredible, really. And that's why when we spoke last webinar, somebody asked about specialization, right? Becoming a specialist. In other words, they were asking if it was smarter to go and focus on one industry over another, or or what would happen. And I said, I think most of the time businesses, they snowball in this industry. They get moving in one direction because they land a client or two of a specific type, like lawyers or plumbers or whoever it is. And because they landed a few, they can show off a few sites. They have the unique insights. Really, the reason that happens, I think, is that businesses, the consultants behind them, the people behind them, it becomes easier and easier as you educate yourself about an industry to sell people in the industry, because you have so much more to talk to people about, and it's relevant stuff. It's almost like if you have a telemarketer, two people call your house, right? One is a friend of yours, and the other one is a telemarketer. The telemarketer has nothing to say to you because they're a stranger to you, because they don't know anything about you. It's the same principle. Somebody who knows something about you and your business, you're going to be much more apt to speak with them and to have a good conversation. The scenario, all these pieces put together, it shows you what you need to focus on. It shows you what you should avoid as well. Things to not talk about, things to not pitch, right? We're not going to go and pitch retail SEO to a business-to-business manufacturer. We're not going to pitch e-commerce to a business that explicitly doesn't sell online, right? Because they do, like, let's say, home improvement sales, and they don't do anything online except they want to capture data to call the people to get a lead, right? A business that doesn't want to sell online, you don't pitch e-commerce. A business that absolutely needs to sell online, you do. So you're using your common sense and saying, okay, well, this type of business never sells online because it's not their model to sell that way, because they can't, versus this other one is. And it's just a matter of, when you're doing your research, looking this stuff up, educating yourself on that. Now, there's always other key factors. When I've made this presentation, I thought about it. There's a lot of other factors that I could have placed in this presentation. I could have added in here, because there's a lot to talk about. First and foremost, in my mind, is the development history with that person. I can't tell you guys how many times, and it is continuous, that the past experience that businesses had with developers dictates and defines how they treat you in the now, right? The business that has a ton of experience, like, rock solid experience with development, is going to be much more trusting than a business that's been bitten, it's been robbed and ripped off and scammed, or had just poor service. Businesses have different self-images, different visions for the business, right? Different paths forward. Some business people are looking to build their businesses up and sell them. Other people are looking to build them up and run them. And some are looking to build them up and keep them forever and give them to their kids, right? People have different perspectives on their business, different visions. So when you're talking to them, you're going to have very different conversations. Business that is looking ahead very long term is going to think, maybe be a lot more open-minded and receptive to spending big money on marketing or doing something big online, because they're going to be around for a long time, and they view themselves as that kind of a future, having that kind of a future. Have they been scammed before? That's a major one. Right? If business has been scammed before, that is part of the scenario. That is part of the situation. You're going to have to deal with it. Do they have a good dev experience? Did the family member develop the website? That might seem out of place there, but it's not. Because many times I've run into situations where a family member built the site. The site is beyond horrible. It's actually hurting the business, but they'll keep it because they don't want to offend a family member. Is there budget there? The last question of all is the old conditional one of, is there a budget there? These are key factors as well that you have to weigh into it. But when you look at a business's model, look at a business's type, look at how they function, look at their industry, you can weigh and judge. These key factors may be important, but it's going to be very much in your interest to go ahead and do your research. And that's what this is really, really all about. That's what this webinar is about, guys. I'm trying to throw ideas up there so that you guys can grab them, latch on, and run with them. Right? You're out there every day. You're prospecting. You're dealing with the end customers for our services. You guys are out there and you're building your agencies. When you're looking at everything that you're doing and you're looking at the totality of it, you have to admit that at the center of it all is your own consultative ability, your own ability to speak intelligibly about the business that you're talking to at that exact moment. You could be the best consultant in the world, best salesperson in the world. Don't do your homework. Go into the next lead. You're going to bomb the demo. It's going to go terrible. Why? Because you don't know about the business. You don't know what they do. You don't know how they function. Now you can improvise and be improvisational about a lot of this stuff, but homework always pays off. It really does. So point here is that you need to be a student of your craft. You need to understand business models, sales models, business types 100%. Understand this stuff 100%. It's not complicated. This is not, advanced graduate degree coursework. Okay. This is simple stuff, understanding a business model and so on and so forth. Make sure your salespeople do too. Don't assume because you hire somebody to do sales for you that they have a clue, because a lot of them absolutely don't. And many times, I can't count the times I've seen entrepreneurs who had no sales ability run rings around salespeople who had no work ethic. Because believe me, the two are not mutually exclusive. Don't limit yourself or assume anything. Always do your homework. Don't ever, jump ahead and assume that you know better, because you always have to do your homework. You always have to double check. Mistakes get made. You want to make sure that you behave like a professional at all times. Professionals never stop learning. We embrace it. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, guys. I really, really mean that. I'm in my 40s. I do work constantly, just educating myself. And I've been educating myself my whole entire life, because you have to educate yourself, and you have to be a student of your craft. The last point here I want to make about businesses is that they're all individual, and keep in mind at the basis of it all are personalities and people. All the technicals and all the accurate academic work in the world and research in the world isn't going to matter if you don't look at a business as an individual and handle yourself accordingly when you're there, when you're prospecting, when you're demoing. Ask probing questions, get to know the owner and or key staff. Personalities matter even more than the technology itself. Now, we're done with tonight's presentation, but I want to take questions. We wanted to leave plenty of room this evening for questions. And Tom, if you want to weigh in here with anything, I'd be happy to hear from you.
No, Jake, I mean, I really appreciate the presentation and the insight that you provided. I mean, you hit the nail on the head on many topics there. And, I rather, instead of, commenting on what you did, because you did such a great job, we could take some questions from, the partners and see if you guys have anything that you'd like to ask us about this presentation or about anything else. It would be great. Here, we have one question here, so let me read it. Edward, what's going on, buddy? Edward says, no questions for me. Another great meeting. All right, right on. Cool.
Thank you, Edward.
Yeah, type in your message, guys, and we'll answer your questions.
Yeah, and guys, also we're going in the future going to be doing deep dives on many of the topics that I covered here. Many of these things I want to do deep dives into the situations and the scenarios where we deeply go into play-by-plays on individual demos and sales and stuff, these common scenarios and models as well. But today, I really wanted to just introduce this topic and talk about it, because it's about integration. It's about taking all these different aspects and attributes of a business and integrating them together and making yourself really, really good at what you do with that integration, by being able to walk into a business and know instantly, okay, this is a retail business. They sell X, Y, and Z product. They're in XYZ industry. They need XYZ service. And here is why. And you will develop your own way of presenting that, unique to yourself, right? Because there's no written, list you need to go through. It's just about your perspective. It's about having that right perspective on it. You have all the services, you know all about them. We've done all the training on that. You understand that stuff. So this is about, at this point in time, it's about getting out there and using what you have, using what you know, and doing so in an effective way. And that's really it. We're going to do deep dives on a lot of this stuff. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, last week you guys had quite a few.
Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on, Tom?
Not a whole lot here, but I do one question here. It's kind of I don't know, I guess it pertains to what we're talking about here, but when you approach a business that's been around for a while, and they have an old website that's garbage, and you're talking to them, and they take this attitude that, well, I've been around for 25, 30 years, I'm doing fine. I know what to tell them, but I'm just wondering if there's any other little pointers you guys could give me, or just shoot out there as far as what to say to these people, try to turn them around. Sometimes they're just stubborn as can be, and no matter what you tell them, no matter what you bring in light of the situation, they don't care. So
a lot of the time it's about opening the personal relationship channel. When you get to those kind of people, I have found in my experience, when someone just doesn't even want to talk to me like that, like, I've been around 30 years. I don't want to hear it. When they do that, and I've had that happen many times, Tom, to me, I didn't do enough rapport building. I didn't get them open. I didn't spend enough time prior to that to open them up to the idea that I'm going to present, right? Because that's a classical feel, felt, found situation where you run into the closing arena and you run into something like that, where, the minute they say, they go, look, I understand how you feel. Enron felt the same way. So did WorldCom. So did Lehman. So did, I can go through a list 50 feet long here of much bigger, older companies that went bankrupt. But the point is, understand how you feel. Others felt the same way. Let me show you, and go back. But you have to do the rapport work beforehand and know about all this other stuff, right? The model and stuff. Just do your research on the company so that you can bring up insightful things. All businesses go through trials and tribulations, and all business owners have to be up on their market. So they're going to be up on the competitors they have, talking about competitors, opening them up to that. At the end of the day, some business owners will just be stubborn and they go bankrupt all the time. And that's
let me throw my 2 cents in here, Tom. I mean, a great way to also approach someone like that, and Jake hit the nail on the head, it's building rapport. It's also, sending them documentation, right? Something that'll prove to them that you're not making it up. Because, when they're stubborn like that, it's kind of like, you don't want them to take your word for it, right? It's like, well, who is this guy? Whatever, I don't need it. But if you throw hardcore facts, right, in front of them, Google facts. I mean, there are so many statistics online that you could literally fill, an 18-wheeler trailer, you can fill that up with statistics. So send them some statistics, talk to them, kind of, it's all about breaking the ice, and kind of laughing with them. It's not taking them, not taking it serious, and the name of the game is to try to break them down, and in a happy-go-lucky way, trying to build that friendship, constantly reaching out to them, not giving up. We had Kyle on the call a couple weeks ago. And why do you think he sells? And this is when someone tells you they're not interested, those are the ones that they're the easiest ones to sell. I'm telling you. If they just need more work, that's it. You need to hit them from all angles, and you can't give up, because eventually you will wear them down. You will wear them down, and they'll eventually see that they need, a website or a service, and it's all about that. It's just, it's not giving up on these people. And, someone just tells you, hey, I'm not interested, I don't need it. It's really, just providing them with, documentation, and also consistently following up and talking to them, building that hey, it's me again, it's Tom, just figured I'd call you. I don't want to see, I know you've been around forever, and I'm going to bug you until you, come on board with me, because I want to see you, take your business to the next level. Another way that Jake, even mentioned on this call right here, show them some of their competitors, grab some competitors, or grab other, companies that are in the same industry. Maybe their competitors have crappy websites also, so maybe go out of town and say, hey, look, let's just say it's a plastic surgeon, or it's whatever type of business it is. Show them, hey, look at this, this is what everyone else is doing. I know you're telling me you don't need it, but I'm going to keep bugging you, and I'm going to show you, and eventually you're going to come on board with me. I'm telling you, because, you need to do what's best for your business, and what's best for your business is giving your prospects a great experience when they land on your website. And that's really what it's all about. You have to update, right? I mean, you have to get with the times. Technology has changed. You need to be found. People need to look at your website, and no matter how long you've been around, doesn't really matter. Is if your website looks like crap, then you lost all credibility. People don't care how long you've been around if your website doesn't look up to speed. Doesn't matter. They won't buy from you. They will, and then, or other ways you could look at it. Oh yeah, I don't need a website. I do great business. I've been around forever. But imagine if you had a website and you had all these other clients come in, all these new clients come in that you don't have. So what you're telling me is that you're okay with, what you're making right now. You don't need to make any more money, or, you're okay with the sales that you have in your business. Again, it's all about talking to them and seeing where they're at, look, it's like anything. There are a million different ways to approach someone like that. A lot of times it's your personality is the one. It's something that we can't teach you, Tom. Sometimes it's one of those things that you just got to keep at it and try different things and use your personality, all the experience that you have over the years, and the finesse that you're going to have when you talk to these people. I know you could do it. The worst thing that anybody can do, that's on this call or that will be watching this partner meeting, is give up on the first shot when someone says no. That's a sin. Can't do that.
No does not mean no. In our business, it never means no. Never in life. It didn't mean no when your mom told you couldn't have an extra scoop of ice cream as a kid. It doesn't mean no now with your prospects. It never means no. No is just a suggestion, sometimes with a little punishment attached if you violate it. But the point is, it's not, a wall we can't get through. I have not had I don't know if I've ever had a prospect just say, I've had people like friends who just want to buy something from me, but I've never had a prospect where I was sent on a lead where I walked in and they were like, yeah, I love it. I want to buy it. Stop your presentation now, get your contract and let's sign some paperwork. I want to give you money. That's never happened.
I don't think that's ever existed in the world of sales. I mean, maybe, that can happen. I think something like that is like winning the lottery, so, get used to it, Tom. Everyone is going to say no. Everyone will say no, but eventually they will say yes. And that's really what it's all about. It's working these people because you know what? I can tell you this, they don't know enough about this industry and it's your job to educate them. That's the bottom line.
Here's a question. I got a question for you, for Tom, for everybody. I know you guys all have clients, just about everybody on this webinar does. How many of you are working them for referrals, getting personalized referrals that you could show to another person, getting referrals that you can use? How many of you are getting them to, refer other business to you? Have you gone back to your clients and said, hey, anybody you refer to me, I'll give you 20% of the deal or whatever. I mean, I've given you guys a lot of suggestions on that through the years. One of them, believe it or not, and Tom may disagree, I don't know, are hairdressers, because they talk to 1,000 people a day, or whatever, a ton of people. I used to go out and I would have everybody I knew, I'd say, hey, here's my business card. And I had it right there on the back, referral and 50%. I'll give you 50% of the net profit of the deal if you refer it to me and it closes. So I used to do deals like that. I think I did a lot less as well. I used to have a little write-in box, but the point was I would do that because I got a ton of business that way as well. Yeah, I would have to still go out and close them and stuff like that. But a referral is so powerful compared to, the person that comes off the street. It's night and day difference. Referral, you already have that in. Everybody here has clients. You all should have referrals. All of you. By now, a ton of you should have tons of referrals.
No doubt. And not even referrals, business people that you've done business with. And maybe they haven't bought off you that could recommend you, hey, could you get the word out for me? You talk, I mean, it could be the local coffee shop. It could be everywhere that, it's like,
and you can just ask, them. They want to help you. They're not like, they're not doing something rude or something impolite. It's just something done by everybody.
And again, hey, look, if it's a great offer that you give them, I'm sure they're going to even try even harder. like Jake said, you know, a 50% of a $5,000 website could be 2,500, right? 50% of something is better than, you know, nothing, right? So you could entice these business associates of yours or the referrals to help you out, and they will. Like Jake said, you're not doing anything wrong. All you're trying to do is help out the businesses out there, help them with their online presence. It's something honorable that we do day in and day out.
All right. Nice speaking to you all, guys. Have a great evening, and I'll see you soon. Have a good weekend.
Jake, thanks
Bye,
a
guys.
lot, buddy. All right. Take care. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.